Well, we back here in the United States. Well, Houston, Texas. We just came back from Puerto Rico, um, and I really didn't want to go. Um, I didn't like the requirements that they had for people to get into Puerto Rico, even though it's the U.S. territory. It was a group of about 15 of us, and their restrictions is if you've been vaccinated, the only thing you had to do was upload your COVID-19 vaccination card. If not, you have to take a COVID test and you got to be negative. You got to take it within 72 hours of getting into Puerto Rico. And I didn't like it because if you guys know my story, my wife and I story, around February, about 6, maybe 7 months ago, me and my wife came down with COVID. And if I had to do it all over again, I would take the vaccination instead of going through this COVID because my wife, she had a very difficult time when we was going through the quarantine. So I've done a video on that, but like I said, I would have taken the vaccine instead of going through this uh, quarantine, going through COVID, losing smell, getting sick, headaches, fevers, and all that stuff. But we went through it. We went through the quarantine and after quarantine, about 14 days, we went and got tested. We tested negative, and we go often to our doctor and get our antibodies test. And we have natural immunities. And that what bothers me so much going on this trip. Why me and my wife, even though we got natural immunity, this is a gift given by God. It's something that is natural. But yet instead they want us to be vaccinated. And we've asked our doctor before, should we get vaccinated? And he looked at me, he said, maybe you should, but your wife, maybe she should wait because my wife antibodies is 10, maybe 15 times higher than mine because she went through some bad things when she was going through quarantine when she had COVID. Her antibodies level just says greater than 20. So it's off the chart. It's not even on the chart. Mine has a number on it. So mine was less than 20. So for me to take the vaccine, it probably would be okay. But for my wife, I think it may be some problems there. But anyway, I didn't want to go, but if you men out there, you know how it is. Me and my wife been together for 30 years. We've been married for 27 years. We're totally different. We vote for different people. My wife, she loves to spend. I save a little bit because you never know what may happen unless you can lose your job. The economy could crash. You don't know. So I like to save a little bit, but my wife, she spends. So maybe that's why we're together. We're totally different. For 27 years, marriage, been together for 30 years. So guys, if you want to stay married or be together for a while, just say yes and accept some things. So we went on the vacation and it was nice. I'm glad we went. Puerto Rico is a nice place. The restaurants and Chinese restaurant, they got Chinese restaurants everywhere. And everybody said, why we want to eat Chinese when all these other places in Houston, we eat Chinese, but we tried it. Oh my God. Hey, that if you ever go eat that lobster and the whole fried red sniper, I think we ate there 3 days in a row. We went to different places. We went on a little yacht and it wasn't that many people on vacation out there, but it was just relaxing. We went to me and my wife and a few of us, we went to the casino that Saturday. And like I said, their rules is, to get in these places, these restaurants, the casinos and stuff, you got to show your proof of vaccination or proof that you have a negative COVID test within 72 hours. And like me and my wife took ours Wednesday. So we flew into Puerto Rico Friday. So Saturday would be 72 hours. And we thought maybe they would overlook that in certain places. And, they did check our negative test results. So we were able to get in the casino on Saturday. So me and my wife went downtown that Sunday. So that Sunday night we decided, hey, let's go in the casino. I have won about $1,000. So I wanted to go in there and see if I could win a little bit more. But we got up to the door and they asked for our vaccination card or even our proof. And we showed them, or the proof that we had a negative COVID test. So we showed them the result, and they looked at it. Oh, it's been over 72 hours. You have to go down to the road to CVS or Walgreens and get another COVID test. And they would not let us in. And let me back up a little bit. Let me tell you a story. People always ask me in the field that I'm in. I'm a CWI certified welding inspector. And they always ask me, have you ever been discriminated against? And I'll be turning 50 this December. And I thought about it. I said only one time in my life. That was in 1994. In 1994. And I've been welding all my life. Since I was in high school, I competed in contests, won district, went to state, went to nationals, represented Texas in skill competitions, got fourth in nationals. I would have got first if we would have learned a little bit more, and I would have been able to go to international. But I had won a gold medal, and I went on to college and got my degree in college. I graduated the top of my class, so I was able to get this job, me and another guy, two of us. So I remember one day, this was in 1994. I started with the company in 92. I was getting ready to go on a project. And I done the procedures. I did everything I needed to do. I was happy because I didn't have no money at the time. And they give us an advancement. They give us $1,500. And I took that $1,500 and gave my wife $1,000 so she can catch up on some bills. And I was going to take the other $500 with me. And the manager called me into the office the day before we getting ready to travel. He said, Lewis, I don't think it'll be safe for you to go out there on the barge. This was in the Gulf of Mexico. And I kind of looked at him kind of strange. And whenever I tell this story, I get a little emotional about it because I asked him why. He said, well, we got an anonymous call from the barge saying that it wouldn't be safe for a black person to come out there. And this first time in my life I ever lowered my head. And he said, but we got other projects coming up and maybe we can get you on another project. And I got up and I walked out of the office. If I would have had more money saved up, or if I would have had, I didn't have no money saved up. If I would have had a little money, I probably would have quit because my whole life flashed before my eyes within 20, 30 seconds. I thought about all the sacrifices I went through to weld. I competed against in all these contests, went to college, graduated, top of my class, days in college. I didn't have nothing to eat, the sacrifices I made. And now I can't go on a job because I was black. It hurt. That's the only time I ever been discriminated against. But hey, I might write a book and tell you guys about the story, but it ended up well, you know. But this right here, I believe it was the second time I ever felt like that because I wasn't able, or me and my wife wasn't able to go into this casino in Puerto Rico because we were not vaccinated, even though we have natural immunity and we had a negative COVID test a little over 72 hours before that. We were turned around and say we can't come into their facility because we're not vaccinated. They won't even accept natural immunity, something that God gave us, something that we had to go through, we had to suffer to get there, which I wouldn't recommend nobody to get COVID just to get natural immunity. But we got it, the natural immunity. And my wife, she was very upset, and you know, and when my wife is upset, I'm upset. And you guys know that you want a happy life, have a happy wife. And she was upset, and that hurt me. And we walked back to the hotel. And I remember we was laying in the bed, and my wife looked at me, and this is the first time in 30 years that my wife have ever asked me to pray with her. And we say prayers, we may say our separate prayers, but she asked me, will I say the serenity prayer with her? She said, you know it really well. I don't know much of it. She said, will you say that prayer for me? And I looked at her, I said, okay. And I said, God, grant me the serenity. She said, serenity, that's the calmness and peace. God, grant me peace. I said, yeah. She said, you can continue. I said, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time. Accepting hardship as the pathway to peace. Taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will. That I will be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. And that was such a calm feeling. She said, will you say it one more time? And I did. And I'm so glad we experienced that, because you can see the separation, the division. I don't know how this stuff will end up. I don't know in another year from now what it's going to be, but I think a lot of people are figuring out what's really going on. Even when we was with the group, it was 15 of us. And I think me and my wife was the only ones that were not vaccinated. And nobody, we never mentioned anything about COVID or the vaccines. We all had a good time. Everybody enjoyed themselves. We just had a great time. But then when you go in these facilities and they ask you to show some identity about saying you've been vaccinated, or showing proof that you have tested negative for COVID because you are not vaccinated, that is a division to me. You're separating people, from vaccinated, unvaccinated, black, white. It doesn't. But I think we're stronger together as a nation. We're going to get over this. And I just want to tell you guys about our trip. And I don't think I'll be going to Puerto Rico anytime soon, because I don't want to feel left out. I don't want my wife to feel like that ever again. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel, and thank you, and have a great day.